Welcome to the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Baseball family, welcome to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast. I am Brad, and I'm co-piloting this ship with our guy, Mr. Brig, over here, who looks like he's ready to teach us about sports literature. How are you today, Mr. Brig?
I'm great, and if you didn't know, the movie Field of Dreams is based on a novel called Shoeless Joe by W.P. Kinsella, whose prose is top-notch, by the way. The man has the ability to set a scene, develop a character, and capture the essence, the true heart of baseball all at once. It's magnificent. His short stories, Thrill of the Grass specifically, and it's fantastic.
Love it. There's our lesson in sports literature for the week.
Yeah.
Join us again next week when Brig teaches us about
veterans at baseball games.
There we go. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to get going. But before we do that, we want to have a little housekeeping. Just to inform you of a new format. We're changing things up a little bit. Thought we'd try something new this year, where instead of dropping an hour-long episode on you every Tuesday, what we're going to do is we're going to drop the biggest stories in MLB news on Tuesday when we'd normally drop the full episode. But it's going to be half the length. It's going to be about 30 minutes. And then later in the week when we have our regular episode, we play games, make lists. This week it's going to be the Florida or Miami Marlins Mount Rushmore. That's going to be coming at you Friday until the season starts. Once the season starts, it'll be bumped to Sunday. Okay, so we're splitting things up a little bit. We figured it'll make it a little bit more easily digestible on the audio side for you folks who don't have time to listen to an hour-long podcast and maybe forget when you're coming home from your commute to listen to the other half. I'm trying to make things a little bit more easily digested for everybody involved. We're going to see how it goes. If you decide you hate it, let us know.
Yeah.
And we'll go back to the way things were. Either way, we're going to give this a try for a little bit. Okay. But before we get into our news, we need to remind you about Chinook Seedery. One of our favorite things to talk about around here is sunflower seeds. Has been from day one. My favorite flavor really depends on the day, but most days it's hatch chili. Briggs is always and forever. Parmesan and pepper. Both are delicious flavors from Chinook Seedery. Because we love them so much, we reached out and have partnered with Chinook Seedery so you can get the best seeds ever. Just ask them. At a discounted price. In addition to our favorite flavors, you can try Chinook Seedery Original, Jalapeno Ranch, Smokehouse Barbecue, Lemon Pepper, Cinnamon Toast, and also Dill Pickle. Go to ChinookSeedery.com and use code BTPOD at checkout to save 10% on your order and support the show. Again, that's ChinookSeedery.com and code BTPOD for 10% off your order. Support your mouth, support your wallet, and support the show all at once. All right.
Winning.
All right, let's talk about Roki Sasaki, Brig.
Oh, boy.
Now, remember, we talked about this last week. His official posting date is January 15th. That's this week. Very excited. And he's narrowing down the field prior to the posting date. Today, Monday, came out and said that he's not going to be going to the Giants, not going to be going to the Yankees, which we'll get there. We're not going to be going to the Mets, and he's not going to be going to the Rangers. His agent says they've gotten interest from 20 teams this offseason, so he's got a large pool to choose from. Surprised that it's not more, to be completely honest with you, because there are a lot of teams out there that still need pitching. So a lot of teams that have pitching, they're still trying to get Sasaki, right? As reported, the Cubs, Dodgers, and Blue Jays all had official meetings with him and are still in the running as well. I also saw, Brig, I read that the Mariners and Padres are still in pursuit. But I'm not sure how that's going because they didn't have an official meeting with him.
Right. That's bad news bears for your Marlins fans.
For the Marlins fans or Mariners fans?
Or Mariners fans. Dang. I got the Marlins on the brain, bro.
You got Marlins on the brain.
More on that later.
Yeah.
That's a tease.
Check back later this week. But no, it is odd. I maintain that the Mariners are the absolute softest landing spot for Sasaki. And so I can see why they would still be considered in the running because I feel like their pitch speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah,
same
you
kind of thing
would.
with the Padres, and maybe Roki Sasaki has. I mean, he knows Yu Darvish. He played with him.
Yeah, that's not
Played with him at
that's
WBC.
not a
He also
question.
knows Otani, and he knows Yamamoto. So there's that. But
Same reasons. Yep.
so
And they're
with
all
the
West Coast
Giants,
teams.
right? Yes, that's what I was. That's one of the things I was going to say. Was that I think we always knew he was going to go West Coast.
Yep.
I didn't think the Yankees and Mets were legitimate contenders, aside the fact that the brand and the money.
That's
Right,
what I
but
was
but
counting
the
on.
money is pretty much going to be the same anywhere he goes because has to sign for the league minimum plus international signing pool
Exactly.
money as his bonus. So
Yep.
you've got to take market like team money out of the picture. So that's why I was like Yankees
Which
and
is the
Mets.
point.
No, he's not going to want to go East Coast. So
Right.
of those, but the Blue Jays are still in contention though.
It's weird.
It is. So do you have a prediction of those three? Do you still think it's the Dodgers?
Blue Jays, they're not in contention. The Blue Jays are not in contention. They have simply not yet been eliminated. That's the thing. That's what's going on.
That really could be it. I think you're probably right about that. Is that the Blue Jays are not in contention? They just haven't been eliminated yet. I think the Cubs are legitimately in contention, though. Like
every
Seiya
Japanese
Suzuki
ball
seems to really
player,
like Chicago.
every Japanese ball player has had more than a cup of coffee with the Cubs when it's time.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if we went to the Cubs. I don't think that it'll happen.
I don't know.
I'm saying there's a shot. How's that?
And so you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yep.
the two places to me that make the most sense from day one, I said the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Because why not? Right? Why not?
Still feels right. Still feels good.
It does feel right, unfortunately. But then I'm not gonna get off this Mariners thing until he tells me otherwise.
Okay, that's all right.
So
I don't blame you, and I don't think your argument is flawed at all. It's just that I think that if the Dodgers didn't have such a great coffee table to put him around,
I know,
right? If the company wasn't so good, then it would be a big deal. But the company's pretty good down there.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I know it. It'll be interesting though. We're just a less. I mean, by the time this releases, we are less than a day from his posting, and then we've got about a week and a half until he is forced to make a decision. And if he doesn't make a decision, I think he has to wait till later in the year, after the season.
Yeah,
so.
But it's not going to take that long. You want to call it? How many days until we have a formal decision?
3.
3? I was going to say 4. I'll say 4. You say 3.
Okay.
Let's run it. Let's see what happens. Write that down.
All right.
Somebody write that
Written down. I got it. Okay. Written down. Okay.
All right.
Next thing, let's move on to Nolan Arenado. So he has a no-trade clause. The Cardinals have been shopping him all offseason, and he's thinking about opening up his options to where he would like to go. He initially said he would only waive the no-trade clause for the Red Sox, which we talked about last week. Is that's kind of weird because they've got Rafael Devers playing third base, and he's going to be playing third base forever.
Mm-hmm.
But he said he's willing to move to first base. With a dude with that glove at first base,
get out of here. Yeah,
he'll win a Gold Glove over there too.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a great fit for the Red Sox, throwing him at first base.
Big time.
Like, that's a great fit. Because Tristan Cassis he just didn't play, hasn't worked out like they thought he would.
And don't get me wrong, he's been fine, right?
Yeah, but he's not Nolan Arenado.
But if you can replace him with Nolan Arenado, exactly right.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Well, and Goldie is not with the White Sox or with the Cardinals anymore. And so they're going to need, maybe they do a trade that includes Tristan Cassis going back to St. Louis because they got to fill that spot somehow anyway.
Right. Yeah, could be. That could be what ends up happening. But here's the other kicker here, Brig. He said that he's also willing to waive his no trade clause for the Mariners and the Tigers.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. So the Mariners need to fill holes at third base and first base. Yeah. And having Arenado willing to play first makes for some flexibility there that the Mariners can go to market and be like, well, maybe we get a first baseman, maybe we get a third baseman. Maybe Arenado plays first base against lefties. Luke Raley plays first base against righties, and we have Arenado on at third against righties. I don't know. There's some
Hey, now
flexibility there,
that's
and if anybody loves flexibility, it's Jerry DiPoto. I'll be honest with you. That dude
right.
loves to move guys around. So
yeah, that's
I think
true.
that's a good spot. The Tigers have Jace Young. He's actually Josh Young's brother of the Rangers.
Yep.
I
Right.
learned that today. Makes sense because it's not a super common last name. But things didn't go great for him in his debut season. He debuted middle of August, just before Javi Baez went down. He played in 34 games and logged a negative 0.5 B-WAR.
Mm-hmm.
So not great. Obviously, the Tigers are looking to upgrade at third base from Young, maybe give him a little more time in the minors to develop. Although when he came up, they started playing well. So addition, subtraction, Baez, you can look at it both ways, right?
Right.
So,
yeah, you
I
could.
don't know. But either way, my
okay.
big question. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking, once you brought up the Red Sox and the first base problem, right? I started thinking, well, Anthony Rizzo hasn't signed anywhere yet, and he grew up in the Red Sox organization. Wouldn't that be an interesting thing? That kind of goes back to what we were calling for when he was a free agent in the first place.
Well, when the Cubs were talking about trading him forever ago.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So interesting. You never know. It's not his best year to walk into a situation, but
right. But I mean, the thing with Rizzo is that he could be really motivated to do really, really well to the point where he's either pressing to do so well or he has a killer year and crushes it because he could come in and improve a deal and do
totally.
well.
Yeah.
Right. But so back to Arenado. This is my question with him.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm curious if do you think we're gonna see him continue to open up his options, or is he gonna try to push for one of these deals?
He'll do both. It'll happen simultaneously. So he'll try to push for one of these deals, and as soon as one door closes, he'll open one or two more. That's what's going to happen.
Do you think
If he's not able to land in one of these spots that he's already designated, particularly if he wants to go to Boston, like if he really wants to be in a Boston uniform, then that's why he is willing to rotate positions. If Boston shuts him down or it's not possible for whatever reason, then, he's got these other options. Watch those options close and him open up more. If they do, that's what I think will happen.
Okay. Yeah,
I know
I
I'm
can see
splitting
that.
hairs, but that's what I really think will happen.
Yeah. So last thing on this is he's still owed $52 million over the next 3 years. So that could be a deciding factor. I don't see the Tigers taking that money on. The Mariners maybe, just because that's money that I think they would be willing to offer a free agent. And if they don't land a free agent, then I could see them pushing for Arenado, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like pushing to get that deal done. I can see Boston doing it though. It seems like they're willing to pay money now that they're not in luxury cap hell. So
yeah, I don't think that's
or luxury tax hell. So
that's not any question that they have the money.
Yeah, they got a bunch of money over there. Okay, so I thought this was interesting, Brick. Did you know that your Yankees are shopping Marcus Stroman?
Yeah.
So the Yankees signed Max Fried, and so now Stroman appears to be the odd man out on the 5-man rotation. He'll be 30. He'll be playing his age 34 season this year. His birthday is May 1st. That's when he turns 34. He's signed through the season for $18 million, plus he has a player option for 2026 for another $18 million. Now, I was a little bit surprised that they were shopping him, that they are looking to deal him, until I read this. He didn't play at all during the postseason. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, not at all.
Right, that they
That's
moved
why
into
I'm
the
not
bullpen
surprised.
and they didn't use him.
Yeah, I'm like, cool, shop him out. Sounds good. Like dilly.
Yeah. Oh, and for a 1-year rental,
yeah, what do you care?
What are some places? I mean, this is actually going to be my question: is what are some places you think he'd fit? Where do you think he could go?
Anywhere. Okay. He had a decent regular season, so that's not a problem. He's going to have a decent regular season this year. something about the postseason was not okay. So honestly, the only reason he's being shopped around is because of the Max Fried deal. Had that not taken place, I don't think that we'd be shopping him out. So
Right. Yeah.
So that I don't think there's a spot he doesn't fit. I think if a team needs a guy, he's a great guy to grab.
Okay. Yeah, and so I was actually thinking about this earlier. I was looking at some places that I thought you could maybe go. Because I was like, okay, the Royals traded Brady Singer. Maybe there.
That's true.
I don't know if they'd want to pay that $18 million this year and be at risk of being on the hook for $18 million more in 2026.
What about
I was thinking about the
Cincinnati?
Padres, maybe. Cincinnati, I don't know if they'd pay that 18. Potentially 36.
Fun to see him there, though.
It'd be really fun to see him there. That'd be really interesting, that small ballpark.
Oh, I got another idea. What about
Where's that?
Pittsburgh?
I don't think they'd pay it.
But he could be the fourth guy. Man, can you imagine if they had that fourth guy?
That'd be a killer rotation. This is the thing. If we would be able to find out exactly what the Pirates are looking to do this year if they made the deal for Stroman. Because if they made the deal for Stroman, then their front office would be like, yeah, we're all in. But the problem is they have a really good 3, 4 in their rotation. But they have the same problem the Mariners had last year, is that they have like no offense.
Right.
So they need to make moves in their with bats before they make a deal for Stroman.
That's true. So I was just thinking about rounding out pitching.
You know who I could see? There are 2 teams in the American League West that I could see making a deal for him.
Okay.
The Angels, because they love collecting names down there. Artie Moreno loves baseball cards.
Yeah, he does.
As evidenced by the history over the last 20 years. Right? Loves his baseball cards.
Yeah.
But I think it makes sense for the Rangers. The Rangers to bring him in and clear out some of the, I don't want to call it dead space, but there were guys who just were not good last year. Dane Dunning had a brutal year last year.
Yeah, right.
And to bring in Stroman in his place, like, that might do well.
Interesting. I don't think that will happen. That doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel like a cultural fit, for one.
Yeah, I don't see
as
that
far
happening.
as the starting rotation goes, I could see him fitting in there. I mean, you got Max Scherzer coming back, right? Like,
yeah. Well, they say. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who?
That's the rumor.
So what? What if? On the subject of culture, I would love to see how he fit into Detroit's lineup, into their staff.
I think he'd fit in really well there.
I think he'd slide in culturally easy, and I think he'd bring some juice to the veteran leadership. I think he'd be a everyday mainstay on that, or every 5th day or whatever. Like, I think that would be really interesting.
It'd be a good spot for him. You're right. I think Detroit's the one.
That'd be cool.
Be a great spot.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah. It would be. Mm-hmm. All right, let's play with another one.
Okay.
The Blue Jays are interested in Alex Bregman. Because guess what? The Blue Jays are interested in everybody. If they signed everybody they were interested in, they would win the World Series the next 10 years in a row.
Yes. Right. Right.
Because this is the thing. This is the thing that I learned this offseason, Brig, is that after the Mets, the next richest ownership group is the Blue Jays.
Right.
So of course they're in on everybody.
Of course.
Because they're like, we will pay you what you want us to pay you. Like, the problem I think that Toronto has is the income tax.
It's a big deal.
It's a really big. It goes in. I know for sure it's like a big conversation in NBA circles, and I think in NFL circles as well. That the states that don't have state income tax, guys are like, that's why the big 3 landed in Miami. That's why LeBron, Bosh, and Wade. That's part of the reason they ended up in Miami. It was because of Florida state income tax.
Yeah,
or lack thereof. But
anyway,
so I was reading this today, and currently the guy slated to play third base for the Blue Jays is Ernie Clement, and he's a defensive specialist and offensive liability from what I read. But also the Red Sox are interested in Bregman, which makes zero sense
What?
to me. It makes less sense to me now than Arenado did last week.
What?
Because I don't. He's not a shortstop. Either is Devers.
No.
What do you do? Is Bregman going to be your DH? Is Devers going to be your DH?
What? When you
I
said
don't know how
Arenado
you
was willing to move to first, that's a serviceable decision. That makes sense.
Right.
I can see it. This, I can't see either of those guys moving anywhere else. They are staple third baseman, everyday guys, offensive and defensively capable, if not superstars. Come on.
Right.
Why? What do they know that we don't? That's what I want to know. What is going on that we are not privy to?
So this is one thing that I was just thinking about. What if Devers is like, I'll move to first base? The problem is that Devers is not even 30. The move from third base to first base is an old guy move.
Yep, right.
Early to mid 30s is what that feels like, right?
Which is why
Bregman,
Arenado makes sense.
Right, he's like 32. Bregman is 30. He'll be 31 March 30th. I don't see him wanting to move to first base, though.
No.
So it was mind-boggling to me. Bregman has played shortstop at the big league level, but the last time he did was in 2019 and was not very much.
Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's distasteful. That makes no sense.
And a little piece of me wonders if the interest in Bregman is like the Blue Jays' interest in everybody. Let's just see what we can do.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's see what dominoes we can push over. And maybe they say, hey, Bregman, how you feeling? Which is basically a big elbow nudge to Nolan Arenado. Like, you're not the only guy. So
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. But it seems like a game of smoke and mirrors. Nothing else makes sense.
I know.
Unless Devers is broken and they need a guy for a season or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure. It's weird, though, because the thing we talked about Bregman last week was Detroit is like the big suitor, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But that hasn't happened yet. So now we've got the Blue Jays coming in. We got the Red Sox, apparently. And we both talked last week about how we felt he could fit in Seattle and in New York.
Yeah.
Because I think a big thing in Seattle is they're waiting for some other dominoes to fall before they sign anybody, because they have not done a darn thing besides sign a 37-year-old utility infielder today to play third base or first base. I don't know.
Right. They don't know either. There are other teams that Bregman could go to, but he needs star power. He needs status. He needs spotlight, and which is why we suggested the teams we've suggested so far. But who's okay? Talk about collecting baseball cards. Who's playing third base for the Angels right now?
Well,
which is ridiculous.
So, I mean, you want to get down to it. It's supposed to be Anthony Rendon, but they have said that he's not guaranteed a starting spot.
Nope.
So who played third base for them?
Was it Urshela? No, he moved on.
No. Gio is actually in he's in Sacramento. He's with the A's.
Yeah, he just signed with the A's, that's right.
Luis Rengifo played some third base last year until he got injured. He is still with the Angels. Who else played some third base last year? There was an absolute revolving door at third base last year for the Angels. Cole Tucker played some third base for them.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, Cole, sorry, buddy. Like,
this is the thing is
I love that he'll
Cole
play
Tucker
anywhere,
on Instagram, and I love that he'll play anywhere, and he is a good first team, all good dudes
for sure.
Like we got to meet him last year, first team, all good dudes for sure. But unfortunately, not big league.
Okay.
So, I don't know, man.
I feel like most teams would be willing to shift their lineup, shift their roster, make some space for a guy like Alex Bregman. The reason it hasn't happened yet is alarming. So, are there things about Alex Bregman we don't know? Is that why the Astros were okay to let him go?
The Astros are cheap. That's why they're okay to let him go. They're not going to pay for him. That's why they traded Kyle Tucker, because they didn't want to pay Kyle Tucker. They didn't want to risk him losing him in free agency because they're not going to give him what he's worth. Like, they should have traded Bregman. I know that they made a little bit of a playoff. They made a playoff appearance. I'm going to say a run because they made an appearance.
Yeah.
Right? And they probably would not have done that had he not been part of that team, because the pieces they got back would not have had the impact he did.
Correct.
But at the same time, though, they had to know. They had to know that he was going to want more than they were willing to pay. And I wonder if the Astros are just sitting on their hands waiting to see if he comes crawling back for cheaper, to give them a discount.
That's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. Fascinating. Really interesting stuff. So that's one that I've been tracking, though, is the Bregman deal, because
I didn't know about the Red Sox, though. That's wild.
I am notorious. I don't know about notorious, but I've been known to hate on a guy when he plays for any other team. But as soon as he puts on my team's uniform, I'm his biggest fan.
Right.
I used to be the biggest LeBron hater. When he hit free agency, my buddy's like, "How would you feel if he signed in Portland?" I was like, "I'd go buy LeBron James jersey tomorrow. Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, exactly.
Hello.
Oh, yeah. You would.
I would, absolutely.
Yeah, you would.
All right, let's talk about the A's before we wrap things up here. Okay, so the A's continue to spend money. This time it's with an extension to Brent Rooker. Good for him, right?
Love it.
5 years, $60 million. Still not paying him as much as they're paying Severino, but it is what it is. However, it does include a vesting option that could take the deal to $90 million over 6 years, so that would put him above Severino, which he deserves.
Yeah,
because the dude can ball. But this is the thing I'm wondering, Brick. With the A's moving to Sacramento and starting to spend money, are they going to become a free agent destination, or is this all still just eyewash to keep the union from filing agreements against them?
It's just wash, dude. This is more smoke and mirrors. This is John Fisher buying time, patting people on the head, kissing babies that are actually not alive. They're just Cabbage Patch dolls. He's just pretending. You know what I mean? Like, it's all BS and it's all bad for you. That's the second time I have quoted George Carlin today. Okay? Just keeping it real.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think they're going to trade Rooker in like 2 years.
Yeah, it's not. It's not a good situation.
Actually, no. They'll trade him after 3 seasons. They'll have him long enough to get through the Sacramento years, and then they're going to trade him.
There you go.
I think what's going to happen.
They'll do the same thing with closer guy. Why is his name?
Oh, Miller.
God.
Mason Miller.
Yeah, thank you, Mason Miller. They're going to do the same thing with him. They're just going to move him around.
They have so much control. They have so much control with him still, though. They don't even need to think about a contract extension.
You're right.
His control will get them to Vegas and beyond.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it,
that's a fact.
So, yeah.
What a goat speaking of the A's over there.
Speaking of the A's, though, I did find out today that they sold out their season tickets for 2025. Okay.
I can't believe it.
They'll be playing in West Sacramento at Sutter Health Park, which seats 14,000 people.
Oh, okay. Move over, Fenway. We got a new smallest ballpark in town.
That's right. That's right. The funny thing about this, though, is they didn't say how many tickets were made available. They didn't say how much they cost. They didn't say how many of them were full season ticket packages. They didn't say how many of them were partial season ticket packages. And holy cow, my neighbor's dog is going bonkers right now.
Yeah, that dog is going. He's very excited to inform us
that it exists. He's
got answers about these season ticket packages, that dog does, that we just don't know about.
Where's the guy from Up? We need the guy from Up.
Get off my lawn. Listen, I had all the same questions. I'm like, are these box seat season tickets? Are these corporate deals? Did they do 10-pack game? They're counting a 10-game pack as like a season ticket?
Right.
What are we talking about?
Ticket packages.
Exactly. So, like, what are we talking about here?
No details, just that they sold out. They could have
Well-
made a small section available for VIPs only. That's like a maximum
Yeah.
10 ticket package, and sold
Yeah.
out of those. And just that could have been it. We don't know.
There you go. We sold out the party porch. It's booked
Yeah.
for every game, every home game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Listen, they have sold out in so many ways that I find this headline laughable. I find it ironic. I find it accurate. They have sold out. You could have ended it there.
Spot on. I love it. Let's end with that, Brig. That's perfect. Baseball family, thank you so much for joining us this week. Before we go, we want to remind you about SeedSack. Head over to seed-sack.com and use code baseball together at checkout and save 5% on your order. And when you do this after you buy your Chinook seeds, because you're going to need a place to hold them. Put them in your seed sack. It's fantastic. I love mine. You'll love yours. I promise it. The baseball family, also like, subscribe, rate, and review everywhere that you can to support the show, especially over on YouTube. Give us a sub if you have not already. Like the video, it helps too. Spread it out to the masses. So baseball family, thank you so much for joining us. We will catch you later this week.